Welcome to Raving Ryan. I'm your host, Ryan Anastasio. Today I have a very special guest, the Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut, Susan Bysiewicz. Lieutenant Governor, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Ryan, I am happy to be finally meeting you. I've been hearing a lot about you from my colleagues in elected office.
All right, thank you for coming on. Before we get into the policy issues, I want to learn more about your previous experiences. You've served in the state legislature. You served several terms as the Secretary of State, and now you're the Lieutenant Governor. Can you tell us about your previous experiences and how you're using them in your current job?
Absolutely. So I ran for the state legislature in 1992, and my first daughter, my husband and I have 3 children, was 5 months old when I started my campaign, and when I got sworn into office, she was 1. And what I loved about being state representative was that I had the opportunity to literally talk to thousands of people, because when I was campaigning during my primary, I talked to 5,000, I went to 5,000 homes twice, and then again in the general election. And what I found was that some of my very best ideas I got from my future constituents.
Yeah, and the legislative session is going to be kicking off Wednesday, and there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to get voted on. There's been a lot of controversy with tolls bill, but can you tell us what exactly the administration's priorities are this session and what you think is going to get passed? It is what this session is going to be a shorter one.
It is. So let me just first brag on what great work we did in the past session, because that was a longer session, and I think we accomplished a lot of the things that we said we were going to do. First was we said we would pass a budget that was balanced, and on time. And you probably heard this from the governor too, right?
Yes.
Good. And also that cut an almost $4 billion deficit. So we cut an almost $4 billion deficit, did a budget on time that was balanced. And we also raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which was one of our campaign priorities, and passed a very good paid family medical leave bill, so nobody has to choose between taking care of a sick relative and their job. So we're very excited about those things. Also, we were able to appoint a cabinet that looks like our diverse state. So our cabinet is historic in that we have 50% women and 40% people of color, and we're really proud of the great team that we have. So moving back to what do we hope to do this session? So what we hope to do is make sure we continue to have a balanced budget, and that we invest in transportation infrastructure, because that is one of the important pillars of economic development. One important pillar is fiscal predictability and stability. That's passing a budget on time. So that's number 1. 2, investing in our transportation infrastructure, which is aging, neglected, and our special transportation fund, if we don't fix it, is about to go broke. And also, it's investing in our workforce and in our urban areas. So the governor's got a council going on workforce development to make sure that we have the people with right training for the jobs that are available.
Yeah, and I want to talk about transportation, which is a major issue in this state. As we sit here on a Friday afternoon, there's a hearing in the Legislative Office building on a tolls bill.
Right.
And on that bill that has been laid out by the governor and the legislature, it's going to be only for trucks. It's going to be around...
Heavy trucks?
Yep, heavy trucks, so it's going to be tractor trailers.
That's right.
It's going to be, the plan calls for $6 to $13 per gantry at 12 bridges and on 6 highways. And it's expected to raise around $175 million a year, I believe. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about this plan and why you think it's good for getting our transportation back on track?
So we have to take a step back to the mid-1980s, when tolls were removed because of a terrible accident involving some toll booths. And Connecticut is not among the 42 states that have tolls. However, even though we're a little state, we have 6 of the top choke points in the entire country. There are 100 of the most congested areas in our country, and 6 of them are in Connecticut. And so the governor and I heard, as we have talked to people around the state during our campaign and over the past year, that people are tired of sitting in traffic, and also that in order to attract new businesses, young people, we have to be investing in mass transportation, so more rail, more buses, and we have to fix some of these choke points. So the plan that will be considered over the next couple of weeks in our state legislature will be the plan that you've just outlined, that trucks only, that is very much like the plan that Rhode Island has adopted and has been going now for several years.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about tolls in general. And when the governor was running, he said he was going to toll just trucks. Then he got into office and he said now he's going to go back to all. Then he said he was going to truck all cars. Now he's gone back to trucks. Can you tell us why the message changed? And some people are saying that the governor's priorities aren't set. How do you respond to that?
I think that what happened was the governor found that there just wasn't the support in our General Assembly for the 2030 transportation plan that the governor laid out. And so that's why he decided to, with the coordination and collaboration of the General Assembly, decided to put this plan on their desk, because that is what we can do. And at least we have between $150 and $200 million a year coming in to invest in our infrastructure. And by the way, we have over 300 structurally deficient bridges. And this plan also allows our state to really take advantage of federal programs that are out there to allow the state of Connecticut to borrow at much lower rates than we could if we just put it on the state credit card, if you will.
Yeah, and some opponents of this bill, such as Senator Len Fasano, are saying that this it would be very easy for the legislature to go extend this to all cars. Is that true? Could the legislature end up extending this truck-only tolls to all cars? Because the infrastructure will be there to have tolls for all cars.
Here's the thing. The legislature has been quite clear in when you look at all of them that they are not in support of car tolling. So,
but would they have the option to if they wanted to?
You know, I suppose anything is possible. However, the legislature at this moment is quite clear that they don't want to go there. And so what I always like to stress is this. Right now, we have trucks coming in from, many of them are from out of state. So wouldn't you rather have the out-of-state vehicles, the out-of-state heavy trucks being tolled and having them fund 40% of our transportation infrastructure instead of our state having to do 100% of it when we go to other states? We go to Massachusetts, we go to New Jersey, we go to New York, we're told when we're driving our cars. And, you know, I just think that it's only right that the vehicles that put the most stress on our state roads and highways, and those are those 18-wheeler heavy trucks, those do the damage of 9,500 cars. So I think, you know, this is a good solution.
And one of our neighboring states, Rhode Island, has already implemented truck-only tolls. And there have been legal challenges there. Are you expecting a legal challenge in Connecticut? And what would happen if the truck industry ended up winning that lawsuit and the tolls were already up?
And, you know, what's interesting is that challenge has existed for, since the campaign, so more than a year, and nothing's happened with it. We think we're on.
The lawsuit's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. So we'll see.
Yeah, so if
To be determined.
So if Connecticut ended up putting up tolls for trucks and they were collecting revenue and the truck industry ended up winning that lawsuit, we would have to pay back that money, correct? That we collected from them.
You know, I suppose, I think it depends on whatever a court would say.
Yeah, and the governor and the legislature have been talking about a special session to do tolls and address this transportation crisis for a long time. They wanted to do it last year, then they were talking about doing it in January. Then it was scheduled for next week before the legislative session starts on Wednesday. But now it's getting pushed into the session. Why has there been so many delays? Do the Democrats have the votes for this?
So I do think that they do in both the House and the Senate. And I think there was some concern about doing a special transportation session and getting the bill done. There was a concern since there's only 2 more days, business days, left before the session starts officially on Wednesday. There was a concern that maybe there would be a filibuster attempt and we wouldn't have a chance to fully debate the bill. So I think that's why the legislature is going to be doing it in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, but why wasn't this addressed last year? When I spoke to the governor in August, he said he was planning for a session in around October. Why did that get pushed all the way to this year?
You know, I think that's better directed to members of the legislature.
You are the president of the state senate, so you do know many of them.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And what I'll say is, you know, I think that there is concern amongst a lot of legislators who are concerned about if they vote a certain way, that they might lose their reelections. And that's just how it is. And, you know, there are difficult decisions to make. And, you know, the governor and I knew that when we took this job, when we got sworn into office. We knew that we were looking at a almost $4 billion deficit going into the next 2-year budget cycle. So we know what we signed up for. We know it's not easy, and I think there's been a reluctance amongst the General Assembly members to take a vote on it.
And are you prepared to break an 18-18 tie in the state senate if there is one?
You know, we will take it one step at a time. I think I would applaud the governor's leadership.
So can you say today, if there is a tie in the state senate, you would vote yes and break that tie?
I will, and it's a tough vote. A lot of people think it's a tough vote, but people get elected to public office to do things that need to be done. So.
Yeah. And can you guarantee that this won't be extended to all cars while you're serving as lieutenant governor?
You know, I can't make commitments about what 151 people in the House and what 36 people in the Senate will or won't do. You know, it's interesting. Every 2 years, the complexion of the legislature changes, so we'll have to see.
So you would be open to tolls on all cars in the future?
You know, you asked me, what do I think about what the legislature is going to do?
If the legislature was to put a bill on the governor's desk that says tolls for our cars, would you advise the governor to sign that?
You know what? I'd have to see what it is. But I think that the governor's 2030 plan is visionary, and it's too bad we can't fully implement it.
Yeah, and I'm moving to another issue that we've been talking a lot for a while, and is the legalization of marijuana. Many states have done this. A lot of our border states are trying to do it. Massachusetts has done it. New York is talking about it. Do you think that the legislature will pass marijuana legalization this year for recreational use?
It's hard to say. They were considering a number of proposals to do that last year, and they couldn't come to a consensus on it. I think the governor and I are both supportive of legalization, and I think we'd like to see a regulatory program that is similar to the medical marijuana program that we have that is very highly regulated. We would use, I think, tax revenue could be generated through a legalization program, and it would eliminate the black market and make it safer for people to use that product. And I think that's really important. And I think it's important to step forward and do something because, as you mentioned, you have other states doing, moving into this area. They're all taking steps toward legalization. And I think it's a growing industry that already employs a lot of people in good paying jobs in our state. And if we were to legalize it, I think it would be better for consumers. It would be better for medical patients. Right now, the products that are available in dispensaries to people who have the medical marijuana cards are very expensive. And I think it would bring tax revenue to our state that's going to, and I think we need to capture it because if we don't do something, then other states around us are going to get that revenue.
Yeah, are you worried at all that it may have an adverse effect on younger people by having marijuana out there legally for people to buy? Obviously, they wouldn't be able to buy it. You'd have to be at least 21, but it'd still be in the market.
Yes, that concerns me. In Connecticut, we passed legislation, which I strongly support, that keeps smoking, that prevents people from selling smoking products to those under 21. Vaping concerns me greatly, and I think, but I also think we have a very strong black market in marijuana, and I think it will be safer to people if we regulate it in a very smart way, just as we've done with medical marijuana.
Okay, and I want to move on to something that you've been working on while you're lieutenant governor, and it's about the census, and you're the head of the effort here in Connecticut. Can you tell us about the census effort and why you think it's so important for people to start filling out the census? It's going to be happening very soon.
Yes, and I appreciate you bringing this up because it is coming in March.
Yes. People
People are going to be getting a postcard to their home mid-March, asking them for the first time in the history of the census to fill it out online. And I feel very strongly about it because $11 billion comes to our state every year based on how many people we have. And for each person that we undercount, we lose $2,900. So the governor has charged me with this important task of making sure that everyone is counted. That's a massive effort. It's more than 3.5 million people because we are a donor state. We give much more to the federal government than we get back. We're number 48th amongst all the states. And so the best way to ensure that Connecticut gets vital resources for Head Start, federal school lunch programs, SNAP, Medicaid, community development, block grants, hospitals, roads and transportation, is to make sure everyone is counted.
Yep, and I want to move on to the 2020 race for president. You've decided to endorse Joe Biden in a op-ed in the Hartford Courant. So as the governor, he endorsed Joe Biden last year in June. Why do you think Joe Biden is the best choice to become the next president of the United States?
He is, hands down, the person with the most experience and the best leadership skills for the job. He's been in the United States Senate for decades and shown what great work he can do. As an example, he passed the Violence Against Women Act in the 90s. He's had real accomplishments, and also given all of this uncertainty in the world and President Trump attacking our allies, we have in Joe Biden someone who has met literally hundreds of leaders around the world. And so I believe he is the best person at this moment to be president and to bring people together. I will also say that I admire so many of the other Democratic candidates in the field. We have such great wealth and wonderful people, and I wish them all well. But I think Joe Biden's the right guy.
Yeah. Now I'll move on to talk about your political future. You've served in many offices, as we said, the state legislator, secretary of state, and now as lieutenant governor. Do you see yourself seeking higher office again in the future?
You know, I just take it one day at a time, and I think the Governor Lamont and I have a great partnership. We've done some great things for our state, but there's a lot more on the list that we're
Yes.
looking forward to accomplishing.
Do you think Governor Lamont will seek a second term? Or have you had any discussions with him about that?
So I always assume that he will, and that we're going to keep working hard for the people of our state.
Yeah, and I want to finish up with a few personal questions. Do you have any hobbies?
So my husband and I love to go hiking, and I love cooking, and I wish I could spend more time doing that.
And to finish up, Connecticut is very well known for its pizza places. Do you have a favorite in the state?
Oh, I have many. I have many.
Can you name one, though?
Oh, no, I can't, because I really like the clam pie at Pepe's. I love Modern. Modern is great. And recently, I went to a fabulous new place called Zupardi's. It's
Oh,
a new
yes.
old place, Zupardi's in West Haven.
Yeah, very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to pick.
Yeah, it's hard to find the bad pizza in Connecticut.
That's right. And Mondo in my hometown of Middletown is fabulous as well, so check it out.
I will. Thank you very much for coming on, Lieutenant Governor. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can go check out our website, ravingryan.com. Reporting for Raving Ryan, I'm Ryan Anastasio.